Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean Harvey, and today we're going to be talking about the causes of bullying. Now, in my opinion, this is a very important video to watch. I've said that in previous videos, but this is a very, very important. And the reason why is because most people don't realize what causes bullying. At times the bully gets looked at as just a bad person, and so they get ostracized, and that actually makes the situation worse. Okay. And then the bully ends up maybe taking on a life of crime, being incarcerated. So their life can be destroyed because of the situation and circumstances that they're in. And also, you have the other side of the person who experiences the effects of bullying, and they now adapt adverse mental health, where they move into depression, low self-esteem, confidence, and they get ostracized as well. So it's and then there's exclusion. Both parties get excluded. The bully gets excluded because nobody wants to deal with the bully, and then the person who has been bullied, then they get excluded because now they feel bad and people are teasing them about the embarrassing rumors and or fights that they get into. So you can see that this is a very complex topic, and so this is the reason why I'm making this video. So, and the great thing about this video is that you can watch this in the privacy of your home, so you don't have other people knowing what you have experienced as a parent when you were a child, and then you can help your child or understand how to solve this problem. Okay, so I've made notes here because this is going to take me some time to get through, and this will help me keep me on track and be able to explain this to you much clearly. Okay, so what you need to understand is that bullying is complex, right? And once I go through this, you're going to realize how complex it really is. It is not an easy fix, as you're going to find out, right? So all we can do is to be aware and to educate the community so that we now can all help each other to minimize and resolve this evasive problem. Okay, so what you have to realize in my notes is that bullying can be a social and cultural norm. Now I know you might find it, especially if you have been bullied, like why would that be? Like why would someone want to be a bully? Well, it's not that a person may want to be a bully. It could be just a social and cultural norm. I did it. And how this can come across is that, like, I played soccer. I did sports, and sometimes, when you're competing with other people, you want to show your dominance. You want to show people that, hey, you ain't getting past me. I'm pushing my opinion forcefully. I'm letting you know you ain't getting through here. And this can be done even on the job, or in school and in education, where you can show your dominance. You can show that, hey, I run this thing, and this is what's going to help me to become a leader. It's going to help me to rise up in the ranks because of my dominant behavior. So sometimes bullying is seen as good in some cultures and social places, right? So, who would have thought, right? Because a lot of times we don't even look at it as bullying. Like, you bully, you take on this persona because you want to win. You want to be at the top of the food chain. Another thing that you may not realize is family dynamics. Okay, so imagine a scenario where a child grows up in a home, right, that's marked by violence, abuse or neglect. Okay, and so the child gets to witness aggressive and harmful behavior between parents, and sometimes, parents may be having a conflict and they're shouting at each other. So the child is going to internalize this, and then believe that this is how I'm supposed to solve my problems. Okay. So the child may end up using their hands to solve their problems instead of using their words and using peace to solve disagreements. So it's so important. So All of this is likely to contribute to increasing bullying behavior in your child. So that's why you should always, whenever you possibly can, do not argue or and fuss in front of your children, right? Because they are watching massively. Okay, so the next thing is that they would, and from this they would model aggressive behavior. They can go to school and they're not prone to aggression. So let's say, for instance, they're playing a game in school, and if they lose or if someone cheats, then now they want to fight the person, and because the person is not being honest, so they try to solve their conflict by fighting. I've witnessed that, I'm sure everyone's guilty of that. Like I said before, anyone who says they have never experienced bullying or been bullied, they either were naive to it, or again, they weren't even sure, or they just in denial. The next thing is a lack of positive role modeling. And this goes on, you know what I mean? So this is not designed to point fingers. It's designed to help parents who are watching this um, to become aware of these things. And it's not designed for you to go and solve this on your own, or go and tell someone, I told you so, that you shouldn't have done. I want you to be aware, because you have to be very careful how you go about resolving this. You don't want to use more conflict to resolve conflict, right? You need to work on your education and your knowledge. So in families characterized by violence or neglect, right, positive role models may be scarce. But again, how we deal with our problems. Okay, so children need healthy role models to learn empathy from, right? Cooperation. Again, sometimes in a family where there's violence and abuse, you may not find people getting along and solving their problems, okay, and having constructive problem solving, okay. So the absence of these models can hinder the development of your child's social skills, or positive social skills. And because one thing you got to realize, that nothing can exist one-sided. There's always two sides to everything. So if there's a lack of positive role modeling, then the child only sees the negative side of how to deal with problems. Okay. The next thing that's very powerful is coping mechanism. Children exposed to violence or abuse may develop maladaptive coping mechanism, meaning that they're not going to be able to adapt properly in the environment that they're in, because they don't know how to, right? And I'm going to explain why. Because bullying can be an outlet for the child, right? Because remember, the child is experiencing trauma and stress at home because of all this um, aggressive behavior that the child is witnessing at home, and so they try to replicate this. And I've seen this in when I had my summer camps and so forth, that sometimes a child may not know how to interact with another child, so they interact in a bossy way, and what it does, it drives the children away. And then the child is frustrated, because then they're saying, now they're being excluded or ostracized because of how their behavior is. See, so like I said before, this is not a simple solution. It's about having an eye opener and understanding that bullying is an antisocial behavior. It's not. It's the ability. The bully doesn't know how to socialize, and you're going to find out more reasons why that is. We're moving on to social isolation and defensiveness, right? Children from abuse or neglectful homes may experience social isolation, right? Like they may be in their room, or they may try to avoid that. I remember, I think it was a UFC champion that had gone through this, and he was in an abusive home, and he was up to 3 o'clock in the morning because he just didn't want to go to sleep, because he was afraid to go to sleep, right? So they struggle with forming healthy relationships, because they just don't know how to do that, because they've been traumatized, right? So they sometimes they feel unsupported or misunderstood, right? Because of the lack of empathy and positive role model that we mentioned before. So they may resort to bullying as a misguided attempt to establish connections, like I said before, about the child may bully another child, thinking that's not bully, but boss the other child around because that's what they know. It's like a social norm. It's like normal to them, and then they wonder why they're driving everybody away, and now it creates confusion. And because now they're being driven away, now they get even madder. You're like, hey, so it gets worse. Then there's a normalization of aggression. In extreme cases, if violence is normalized, right, which means that it becomes like of the norm within the family, the child may perceive aggressive behavior as acceptable means of communication. Right, this is how I communicate and problem solve. So so now this becomes part of the strong suit. Now, some people's strong suit. We mentioned strong suits in another video, but this is how strong suits are created, right? Because, like I said before, most times or all the time, we are victims of our circumstances, and this normalization can lead to a lack of awareness about the harmful consequences of bullying because it's blind to them. Then you got peer pressure and bullying, right? So when your child goes to school and there's a dominant social group, I think we'll all experience that, and everyone wants to be in the cool group, and where there's assertiveness, power, and control, right? So and every school has this group, right? And children within this group may exert their influence over their peers. I mean, this goes on, like the event on in school. Now you see it on social media. We have influences. People express their opinions, right? Creating a culture where everyone conforms to a certain behavior, including bullying. That can go on, right? So you can see it's not as straightforward. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of what goes on. So remember, our children have a desire for social acceptance. Everybody wants to be accepted. Children by nature, humans by nature, seek acceptance and approval from their peers, right? So this is where individuals may feel a strong desire to be a part of that group. Like, I want to be a part of that group, man, right? So to gain acceptance, some children might succumb to peer pressure and engage in bullying behaviors to demonstrate their alliance, right, or allegiance. That goes on. I've seen it, right? I've been a part of that when I was coming up. So if I had known this stuff, it would have been I would have been able to deal with it better. The other thing is the fear of exclusion. Who wants to be excluded? The fear of being ostracized or excluded from the dominant social group. Like everybody wants to be a part of the cool group. You know what I'm saying? So who wants to be ostracized? Like I want to be a part of the cool group. You know, and so this can be a powerful motivator for children, right? To be a part of that group. So to avoid becoming a target, like sometimes like I want to be a part of that group so that I don't get targeted by this group. They're not going to bully me, right? So by maintaining the social standing, individuals may engage in bullying as a way to align with the group norm and expectations. This goes on. Like this is all part of survival. Okay. Then you got group dynamics. So bullying can become a group activity, right? Where peers encouraging each other to participate, right? The order this is where gangs start and so forth. So you can see a lot of the stuff is what's creating a lot of the problems that we have in society. All right. In such cases, individuals may feel compelled to conform to the group's behavior, be a part of the group, right? Even if they were not engaged in bullying independently. So that's why I'm saying in gangs, you might find these guys that when they're with the group, that's when they're acting as a bully, but when they're by themselves, they're not doing that. So this collective reinforcement within the group can strengthen the prevalence of bullying because everybody's doing the same thing. Then you got influence of leaders within the peer group, right? All this stuff is all a part of leadership, right? But it's negative leadership, but it's still leadership. Within the dominant social group, there may be influential individuals who set the tone for the behavior, right? If these leaders exhibit bullying tendencies, their peers may copy or emulate these behaviors to gain favor or avoid becoming targets themselves. Okay, so now you're understanding how like gangs are created and how gangs operate. Okay, so you can see that it's not the bullying. But what causes bullying is very complex, and it's not an easy fix. So you ain't got the lack of individual agency, like a person thinking for themselves, right? Some children may feel that they have a little choice but to go along with bullying. They don't stand up due to the perceived social norms of their peer group. Like everybody's doing it, and so I got to do it to fit in. Like we said earlier, to avoid being a target themselves, right? So the pressure to conform will overshadow the earned values. And I've said that before in other things. And sometimes one of the things is you can stand up and say that I don't value what this group is doing. So we were talking about that in relational bullying, right? Leading them to engage in harmful actions. Then you move on to mental health and bullying. Okay, so this is where in a school environment where mental health is not well understood or addressed, right? And there is limited support for children facing challenges such as anxiety or depression. Depression, anxiety is serious. Okay, so this is in this context, both the vulnerability of children with mental health issues and the potential to engage in bullying can be influenced by various factors, such as children experiencing health issues such as anxiety or depression may exhibit behaviors that make them more susceptible to bullying. So when you have a child who's depressed, who has low self-esteem, low confidence, children pick on them a lot quicker, right? um, and then also they may have difficulty asserting themselves and can attract the attention of bullies, right? Which is what I just mentioned. Okay, then you got the lack of understanding, empathy. Empathy. A lot of people don't understand empathy, right? Sometimes in the schoolyard, when you see a child being bullied in school, and so people end up teasing the child or say you need to toughen up, you need to get, come on now, you're weak. See, that's a lack of empathy because you're not even sure what that child is going through. So the more that we become aware and contribute to social, and the more that we become aware and realize that this person may be having social isolation, they're going through a lot of challenges and trauma, and this adverse mental health is destroying this child, telling this child that they're weak and they need to get stronger. Come on now, it's a form of bullying, right? When you're telling someone that they're weak and they need to change how their behavior is, it's a form of bullying. There's no empathy there. Sometimes bullying is a coping mechanism. This is huge, right? Some children with mental health issues may unfortunately adopt bullying as a maladaptive coping mechanism, right? And on how they because they don't know how to fit in or because they don't know how to socialize, and they do this as a form that they become bullies. So to regain a sense of control, like if they're at home or whatever environment they're in, they're losing control, they're losing their self-worth. So to regain a sense of control or alleviate their own internal struggles, they they may engage in bullying behavior to make themselves feel better, right? So bullying as a cry for help. Most people may not realize that is possible too, right? So in some cases, children facing mental health challenges may act out through bullying as a way of expressing their distress, right? Bullying behavior may be a manifestation of their own struggles, and addressing the underlying mental health issues is crucial for breaking the cycle. So sometimes it's a cry for help, because what they're doing is they're expressing what's going on inside of them. Okay, the impact of bullying on mental health. So on the flip side, children who are victims of bullying may develop or exacerbate mental health issues, right? Like I said, with the cyberbullying, that they don't want to make friends, or they're isolated, they're being ostracized, and so forth, right? So the stress and anxiety and trauma associated with being bullied can take a toll on a child's emotional well-being, potentially leading to conditions like depression or anxiety. It destroys people's lives. Okay. Another thing here is a lack of adult supervision and bullying. Okay, so just imagine a child experiencing limited adult supervision due to various reasons, right? It could be that parents that was working parents, single parent households, or inadequate community resources. Okay, so in this scenario, the absence of consistent adult guidance can contribute to an environment where bullying is more likely to occur and less likely to be addressed effectively. Okay. So in the absence of adult supervision, children may find themselves in unsupervised social settings such as parks. They're just hanging out in the park, playing, or in neighborhoods or online spaces, their own online sites. These settings can become a breeding ground for bullying, as there's a lack of immediate intervention and oversight to discourage or address harmful behavior. Right? Limited role modeling and guidance. Children rely on adults. That's why I've always told parents that if your child is telling you what to do, the thing is backwards. Children rely on adults for guidance and positive role modeling. Right? Now, children have their own opinion, but we have life experience, and as long and we know what's good for children, so we need to tell our children what to do, and children have to learn to obey. Okay, in situations where there is insufficient child presence, children may lack the necessary examples of appropriate behavior and conflict resolutions. Most who children don't know, they need to, like we were talking about earlier about positive role modeling. They learn that children watch how adults deal with conflict, and depending on what they see is what they internalize and adapt. So making them more prone to adopt negative behaviors, including bullying. Also, difficult seeking help, right? Children who lack regular adult supervision may face challenges in seeking help when they encounter bullying because, ain't nobody around. I know one of them I was talking about, don't be afraid to call for help. It's so important, right? The absence of a trusted adult figure can make it difficult for them to express their concerns or report incidents because there ain't nobody there. There's no adult they can trust, right? So as this may fear consequences or believe that no one will address the issue, right? Because they'll be like, oh, if I tell somebody that I'm being bullied or whatever, this can be consequences. Hey, toughen up, and you got to go fight that guy. Like, come on, now, when I was younger, we used to fight. Like, let's fight. You try anything and want to fight. So so we have to, what I mean, have empathy. Increased vulnerability to peer influence, right? Without adult guidance, children may be more susceptible to the influence of their peers, especially if the peer group encourages or engages in bullying behavior. Right? The lack of a strong adult presence to counteract negative influences can contribute to the normalization of bullying within the peer group. Again, it goes back to that positive role modeling that we were talking about. So it's so important that our children have that. And that's why I say it's so important to put your children in programs, child development programs that will teach them survival skills, not just survival skills in terms of physical survival skills. Now, I teach jujitsu, but I like to tell my students, all jujitsu is self defense, not self offense. So we're not starting the fight. We're protecting ourselves from someone who is using is physically bullying us, right? But again, there are solutions that you want to use before you get into any sort of physical altercation with someone. Like one of it could be walking away. Now, I know some parents might say, "Oh, walking away is a sign of weakness," or walking away, the person could walk behind you. Yeah, it is, but at least you're trying to do something without trying to fight. Like I said in previous videos, when someone gets into a fight, nobody wins, meaning that somebody is going to, even if I win, the person is going to want to come back after me. They're either going to bring their friends or bring their older brother or bring whatever, but it's always going to keep going. So the best thing to do is to avoid the fight. But if the fight does happen, then you will have, if you're coming to a jiu-jitsu class, which is about hand grabbing and so forth, or hand grab, arm grab, hold ons, grabbing, that grappling. Then once you understand how to get out of those techniques, you know how to escape and you're out. You don't have to fight. Okay, we have to stop fighting. Okay, and limit awareness and intervention. That's what this channel is about. It's about spreading the awareness and education. So adults play a crucial role in identifying and addressing bullying. In situations where there's a lack of supervision, instances of bullying may go unnoticed or unaddressed, right? Allowing the behavior to persist and potentially escalate without appropriate intervention. So in another video, I was talking about if a child's in the schoolyard, one of the ways, because, if you go to a teacher and you say, well, I'm being bullied by this child, and the teacher asks the other child, the child says, I'm not bullying that child. I know what he's talking about. He's lying. So that's why it's so important, if you're being bullied, to tell the teacher, right, that this is what's going on, and I'm going to be out here playing in the schoolyard. Can you keep an eye on me? If you see so and so coming toward me, or a group coming toward me, can you intervene and say, look, can you guys leave them alone? Okay. So we need adults play a crucial role in this game, right? So as you can see, bullying is not a single cause issue. There's a lot that goes into this, but it's a complex problem with many contributing factors, right? It also highlights the need for a comprehensive approach to bullying prevention. Okay, so I know that this video was very long, but it's very informative, and I'm sure that when you watch this video over and over and over, you're gonna realize that bullying is not an easy. There's no one solution to solving bullying, because again, it has this, it can be, has its social norms. Some people, it's this is how they survive. This, I want to be on top of the food chain. This is how I became a manager. This is how I became a CEO. This is how I became a business owner. I pushed my opinion. I was forcefully, and I was aggressive. I was assertive. Okay. Then you got the parenting modeling. A lot of times it's poor parenting modeling, and I know some parents don't want to hear this, but it's true. It's important. Our children are looking up to us for positive examples, and if we're not doing that, then they're going to adapt what they see, and we cannot get mad at our children if you see them exhibiting bad behavior, right? Because then you have to ask yourself, well, where did they get that from? Because we are all born as an empty shell. Everything that I have in my mind today, I either saw it, right? Here's the three gates to your heart. It's through what you see, it's through what you hear, and it's through what you speak. That's how everything comes into your heart. Okay, so be mindful of the things that we do, and also the peer pressure. And when your child goes to school, they want to be accepted. They want to be accepted in their peer group, and if their peer group, or the popular group and the influential people within that group, they are now exhibiting their dominance and their power, and so they now get the other children in the group to do things to show their allegiance with the group. So it's a lot that goes into this. Okay, so that's why just getting mad and calling the bully bad, or oh, I'm going to fight him, that's not going to solve the problem. It's a lot deeper than that. So the key is to spread the awareness, get into every family. So in the family dynamic. So now we learn to figure out how we're going to solve our problems, and have conflict resolution that is not always leading to a fist fight, or shouting and arguing. We have to learn that nothing can exist one sided. So there's always two sides to everything, and so we have to learn how to compromise and come with a constructive problem solving skill. So you can see that there are a lot of skills that, right, that we all need in order to survive and rise to the top. And not all the time do you need to be dominant. You need to be a bully to rise to the top, right? I feel just like what I'm doing right here. I'm being of service. I'm helping another person, right? And that's how you rise to the top, right? Whenever you serve other people, you serve yourself, okay? And people will love you for it, okay? So hopefully this video helped you. It helped you open your eyes up to the many, to the complex situation that bullying is. If you liked it, like it, subscribe, and share this video with other parents and families around the world so that we can spread the awareness and education of bullying. Okay, and I will see you on the next video.